congratulations on this. And I loved hearing your voice, and what a lot of people don't know, because they all know you so well from True Blood, is that you're Australian. How nice was it for you to actually use your real voice?
I know, it's rather hilarious sometimes when, you know, I run into sort of fans on the street and they think that I'm actually putting on this voice, that I'm in some bizarre way preparing for a character right now. But no, this is my voice.
Yeah, very freeing for you, I would think.
Yeah, there's a sense of liberation, but also an air of like sort of trepidation, because I'm so used to sort of playing characters and having an accent now that it's sometimes you almost end up overdoing it when I'm using my own accent for fear that it's not going to be as interesting enough. I don't find myself particularly interesting, so I always want to kind of animate it and bring it to life.
Were you familiar with the books? Like, how did you get involved with this project?
I wasn't familiar until the project, but then, you know, read the first one and then realized that, you know, it was still Zack Snyder, so he was going to do his very film-savvy version of the books, which he obviously did, but stayed true to the integrity of the books, I think, like he did in The Watchmen. So, yeah, the research was there for sure.
Yeah, and okay, you get to play this owl. You know, you're going to play an owl. Now, how does one get into the mindset of an owl?
Well, what I enjoyed most about this was the fact that it was, as much as it's set in the world of owls, there was some very distinct parallels to how we live our lives. You know, sure, they're owls and they live in trees and they go about their life, and we captured, you know, the very inherent qualities that owls have, but also gave them human qualities so you can relate to them. And that was sort of the most intriguing thing for me, was the animators did an enormous amount of research as to how an owl would fly and how the feathers move, and the various techniques that go about in making the helmets and whatnot. And then us as actors come in and sort of, I guess, try and bring that to life in a voice sense. Mm-hmm.
Well, Clud, you know, he's a bit misguided, don't you think?
Very good choice of word. That's what I've been choosing to use. Some people have said evil, and I don't like that.
No, he's misguided.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, now you have brothers, I understand, right?
Is that correct? Younger brothers.
Okay, so, you know, how do you think they're going to feel about this when they see this? And, you know, you're a bit of a badass, a little bit.
Well, they might be thinking that, wow, this is what he's been suppressing all these years. This is the real Ryan, you know. And in a way, it sort of is. You know, Clud just sort of, he has no filter. Yeah. So when this opportunity of being a soldier for the pure ones presents itself, he thinks it's, well, finally someone is believing in the way I want to live. And for someone like him, that's a dangerous thing, because he's so ambitious, but you know, to the point of complete and utter righteousness, where it's this way or no other way.
Right, and he's been in the shadow of his brother.
Yeah, who is naturally more gifted than he is, and Clud will never get that, no matter how hard he works, and so he thinks that he looks for the easy way out, which is probably the worst thing you could do.
Now, for you as an actor, is this the first animated thing that you've worked on?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're in that voice booth by yourself, or just, you know, is that a more challenging process for you because you have nobody to work off of?
Absolutely. I mean, if you were to visit the voice booth on that day and just be one of the, you know, pretend that you're a sound guy on that particular day, and standing outside seeing this person in front of a microphone, you know, pretending to flap their arms and running around like a mad person, you would think that you're visiting an insane asylum, because it just looks totally and utterly ridiculous. But then what you eventually see in the 90 minutes it's up on screen is, you know, anything but. It sort of all makes sense then and there. So you really have to not think about how much of a mad person you are in that room, and just sort of think, well, I am an owl. Yeah. I am in that world.
Yeah, and is it harder for you not to have someone to react off of?
It's different. You know, every project has its set of challenges attached to it, and this was sort of no different. And I wouldn't want it any other way, to be honest. Yeah. I wouldn't want everything to come easy, because then there'd be no fun.
Exactly. Now, what was it like for you the first time you saw the film, or even just saw pieces of your, you know, your finished, complete owl, and your voice is coming out of that? What was your reaction to that?
You can't help but be a little bit surprised. I remember a friend of mine called me after they saw the trailer for it, and yeah, I don't tend to publicize too much of what I do, and I didn't tell them that I was in this. And then they were watching the trailer. Suddenly, they heard my voice, and it really sort of threw them, because you know, my voice on an owl, it was never where they'd seen it before. They'd seen me in all sorts of places and doing funny things, but never an owl. So yeah, and it was very much in the same sort of thing for me, to sort of this voice that I'm used to living with suddenly having feathers and flying. It was very bizarre.
Very surreal.
Yeah.
One of the themes of this film is heroes, meeting your hero and someone who you meet and it lives up to your expectation. As you've been working and, you know, acting and meeting people in your career, is there anybody that you've met so far that you're like, wow, and that person's really lived up to my expectation?
I unfortunately never got the chance to meet them, but they very much sort of inspired me to where I am sort of today. And the person I, you know, hopefully want to be is like Paul Newman. You know, I think he's just got such an incredible body of work, but then beyond sort of his acting capabilities, I just think his philanthropy efforts and just who he was as a person, I think, were above and beyond the normal man.
Absolutely. Of course, we all know you. True Blood is just so popular. You're so great on that show. And did you ever think that when you started to make that show that it was going to become what it has become? I can't imagine that you can walk by down a street, people not just like, oh my God, Jason. You know, I can't imagine.
Yeah, no, I'm a very so optimistic person, even at the worst of times, and it still blew away every single one of my expectations as to where I thought it was going to go. And I'm very blessed to be a part of, you know, such a successful show.
Yeah,
really. And if it keeps going on for years and years, I'll be happy, believe me.
Well, yeah, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it. It's great. It's very, very popular, and especially Canadians love it. Oh my gosh, did you meet a lot of people in Toronto when you were there?
I did. I love Canadians. We share a very similar sense of humor and sensibility. It's good.
Good. Well, congratulations on this. Best of luck with your Grip the Invisible as well, and hope we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Nice meeting you.